This is Dawn Shireen. This is my podcast, The Delusion is Vast. So I actually don't remember what day I did the last show on. I was pretty riled up about the pedo sting here in Flagstaff. And now it's kind of weird because it's just, nobody's talking about it. It's not in news and it's not anywhere. And it's kind of like it happened and it went away. And I guess that's the way life goes, right? Things happen and then they go away. So here it is. It's like 10ish on Tuesday night, and it was a pretty eventful day, to say the least. And the night was eventful because the stalker dude, I guess now that they know I'm leaving, has decided that he's going to torment me to the last minute of me being here. So walked around the house all last night with a flashlight, even though I had my windows boarded up from the inside and everything is covered. There's still ways for me to see the light because I live in a trailer, and or maybe I just have like x-ray vision or something, but I know when the guy's around. So today, I'm trying to pack and get stuff ready because tomorrow Catholic Charities comes and hauls out pretty much everything I own and hopefully gives them to a lot of needy people for Christmas, which is my best case scenario. And my power's cut, and I know it's cut because my breakers didn't break, and it's a pretty obvious sign that the power's been cut somewhere else, right? So, because there's a long thing going on here between me and the landlord and him calling Catholic Charities all day yesterday and not coming to me, whatever the problem was, even though he was paid and everything is good. I didn't feel like I could go to him and ask him to see what happened, and also because the stalker dude is in the yard, right? So I called the police, who took a report, and they were busy today. There was a lot of stuff way more important than a shitty neighbor situation going on. I barely have food, so it wasn't like anything was going to spoil. I have battery packs and backups for my phone and stuff, but it just made it really hard to be able to pack up. But, I called Catholic Charities, and of course, my girl had school today, so she couldn't get back to me, and then I wound up having to call the director, who called me back, I don't know, around 2 hours later, and we eventually got it settled. He called the landlord came over, gave me my change of address mail, which confirmed the fact that I'm actually leaving, which kind of opened the door for him to be like, well, where are you going? And it's like, I really don't want to disclose that and let you know where I'm going. And, in this whole thing of them controlling me and having a say in everything I do and me not being able to regulate my own life here, it was actually a pretty good moment for me. Now, I didn't exactly tell him where I'm going, because I'm not going to do that. I mean, it's out there. If they can figure out how to use the internet, it's easy enough to kind of find where I'm going. And, he actually looked a little bewildered, maybe sad, even though I don't know why they're sad when all they wanted me to do is leave, paying this guy to stalk me the whole time and, just basically making my life a living hell. But he actually looked surprised that I was leaving, which kind of took everything in my power just not to laugh out loud. But knowing I was under surveillance, I did maintain my composure, and just gave him the facts, ma'am, right? Just give him the facts. And I did. And also told him the day I'm leaving and approximate time, and kind of really begged him to ensure the fact that there will be no problems with me leaving. Because honestly, missing the bus and or having to call police in order to leave here is just something I don't want to do. Even though in the back of my head, I'm really thinking, man, I should call for a sheriff's standby, a cop standby. I should really call for it. But I'm going to trust that maybe he learned something from this experience and will let me leave. Right? Because who needs more hassle? I don't need more hassle. I don't know that he even realizes how much hassle it's been. But, as I've been laying here trying to fall asleep, listening to the mice that I don't know where they're congregating, underneath the kitchen sink maybe. I'm not sure, but they are very, very loud and they are very squeaky. and then hearing the mice trying to come through the walls that I have tarped, and the rustling of the plastic and all that. And my hopes and prayers are actually for the next tenant, the next poor sucker that moves in this place and doesn't know. Now I was going to take all the tarps down and everything. I just don't know that there's going to be time for me to do that. But if I do that, by the time they get a tenant in here, like the furniture in here will be destroyed. There's no doubt about it. I mean, we're not talking like 2 mice, 3 mice. We're talking like a whole like symphony of mice. And I mean, I know that's gross, and they're not actually inside the house because of the precaution. I mean, there's a couple. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there's a couple. They're gnawing their way through the floor, by the door in the front, which I have closed off from the bedroom. Yeah, it's gross, right? But it's kind of weird because I've gotten accustomed to it. I've gotten used to the fact that the stalker dude was feeding 20 to 30 mice a day into the house last winter when they were jumping. Oh my God. Yeah, they were jumping from the walls onto the bed, onto the this, onto the that. And that's why I did all that precautionary stuff that the stalker took away outside and that I had to do inside, and spend all that money, which I don't even want to get into it because it's already documented and I already talked about it. But I mean, the thing is, like, I don't know if I was supposed to feel sad that I'm leaving because my landlord just looked heartbroken, and I'm sure it has nothing to do with me, but it has to do more with the money that now they're gonna have to find a new tenant, and they're gonna have to do some shit in here, and they're probably, if they're an exterminator and maybe a new landscaping lawn care guy who doesn't actually like bait the trailer so the mice come here. But again, not my problem anymore. I've done what I can to not have any mice in the house, and like I said, I spent a lot of money on not being infested inside, and I'm grateful that I had the funds to do that. I don't know that the next person's going to do that. I mean, I know when I get out of here that they're going to take all the tarps down and they're going to do all this, and they're not going to realize the disaster that they're actually creating. But then again, when they take the tarps down, there's actually kind of a really good chance that the wall crease in this back bedroom area might just fall over, because I think the tarps are actually holding the trailer together at this point in time, in the back anyway. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna take video and stuff before I leave, of course, because even though he seems, okay right now, and I'm sure he's gonna have this douchebag fucking stalker come in here to do whatever in here. So I'm pretty sure that he's gonna try to set me up for failure. I mean, nothing for nothing, Catholic Charities will be here tomorrow, and they can do like a brief walkthrough. I mean, everything's not ready yet. I mean, I had no power today, so I had no hot water, right? So like cleaning was kind of taken off the agenda a little bit, but it's just weird. And it's like I was saying, I don't know if I'm supposed to feel. I don't feel sad for him. I mean, like he's been complicit in this whole thing, and just because he wished me well and looked sad at the confirmation that I'm moving out of state, because the minute that he's like, well, can you tell me where you're moving? And I'm like, I really prefer not to. I'm moving out of state. And his eyes got as big as like 2 moons. And it was like, oh, so you thought I was going to stay in Flagstaff so I could be tormented more and still by this stalker, convicted stalker dude. And no, that's not happening. Man, moving. And so today I packed everything up and got it ready for Catholic Charities, and I've got what I'm bringing, and it's packed, and I'll probably be repacking it again and probably downsizing more, because the closer it gets to the time of me leaving, the less I want to carry a lot of shit with me. And I mean, that's no joke. I have a lot of transfers. I haven't traveled in such a long time, and I'm starting to overthink everything now. But nonetheless, I don't really need to bring a whole bunch of shit with me. I can get what I need to get when I get there. I mean, basics, shoes, underwear, socks, pair of pants, shorts, whatever. Couple books, And it's funny how that, like, if you could only have one book, what would it be? has actually come into play in my life at this point. And I actually chose 3, because, one book is not enough. I think I actually have 5. But, one of them's a pocket constitution, which is just a tiny, tiny little book. Tiny little book, can fit in a pocket, right? And The Little Prince, of course, because that's my go-to book, and I will never be without a copy of that. And then 2 books I bought myself for Christmas about birds, because even though I'm leaving my birds here, and I'm trying not to think about that too much, because, that makes me sad. But, there'll be birds there. There's no doubt there'll be birds there. And, I was going to bring 1984 and Animal Farm, and I don't know. We're going to see. Because, like I said, I'll be repacking again and refolding and whatever. Moving just is so difficult. Especially when I moved here and it was supposed to be like a quote-unquote forever thing, and then the stalking started, and then when my landlord talked against me to the police, at that moment I realized that I didn't belong here and I had to go. And finally it's happening. So, like, I have survived from August of when the guy was under my house to now where there's a colony of mice and whatever underneath the house. I'd still rather have the mice than him under the house, it's just, they're much safer. But it's still gross. And I still feel really bad for whoever's moving in here and is not going to be aware of the trauma that they're probably going to go through while living here. But there's not much I can do about that. So and also, so this weekend, the memorial for John Ulibarri happened, and I watched it on YouTube, and I sobbed and sobbed and sobbed when I realized how he died, and how tragic it is, and how other people think that when people die that way that they should just go to hell. And Christopher's not in hell, and I'm guaranteed of that. If he was in hell, I prayed him out. And John's not in hell. Too many people loved him, and God loved him, and he's not in hell, and that's all there is to it. And I took great offense to the person who said that, and this is the only time I'm going to speak on that, and I'm not even going to say who it was because it's actually irrelevant as to who it is. But you should really be careful what you say about suicide around people when you don't know what people have experienced or what people are experiencing, because it just really makes you ignorant, regardless of your religion, which is possibly a cult. And that's what I'm going to say on that. I'd like to give a shout out to my buddy Knife Hoarder. I am so glad that this is hopefully the last heart operation that you have and everything works good, and take off as much dang time as you need to get well, because you're a good person, and I'm really grateful that God saw fit to save your life. And that's really about all I got to say right now. I can't sleep, so I was hoping that maybe just by being able to get some of this stuff out, it'll help me calm down a little bit. There's no guarantee there. As soon as I shut my eyes, I want to feel like this guy's going to be walking around here trying to burn the trailer down. So I'm going to be fucking with my own power all night long, turning it on and off, hoping that he doesn't fucking decide that that's the moment he's going to do something with the hot water heater or whatever his game plan is to burn this trailer down with me in it. But with God's good grace, man, I'm going to get out of here alive and start my new job and start my new life, and everything will be different and better, but different for sure. Anyway, thanks for taking this little jaunt with me tonight while I decompress, and, hopefully just, God, I just really hope that as soon as I hit the New Mexico border on the bus, that this whole Arizona struggle trauma life I've had for the past 14 years is just dissipated, and everything brand new and fresh in South Dakota is just gonna alleviate all the pain I've suffered in this state. I mean, a lot of it for my own doing, but not all of it. I never asked to be stalked. I never asked to have a convicted sexual predator, be my nemesis. It wasn't in the cards. But it happened, and I hopefully did the best I can with it, and I will absolutely be helping other people with it, with my stories and everything, when I get out of here and can really think again without being under pressure. Because that's really all I want to do, is help people. I don't want to be, a problem for people. I want to be a solution for people. And I'm going to get back to that, because I was at one time, and then this all happened, and I just became so self-absorbed on my own survival, which, I think is okay to do that. That I haven't forgotten about other people, but I definitely have not been advocating for other people. So I hope that South Dakota can change that for me, and I'll be able to get back to being the advocate that I was for humanity. Anyway, this is Dawn Shireen, and this is my podcast, The Delusion is Vast. And hey, let's all stay alive, okay? Later.